All right, you guys, what is going on? This your boy Town Biz. All right, so the finals are set. So we will have the Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, ratings wise, you probably wondering what the NBA is thinking about this particular finals because basically these are what you would call small market teams, but they have great players in Siakam and Halliburton and Holmgren, and of course the reigning MVP SGA. And the funny thing is, when you think about it, that basically the Clippers pretty much gave up on him early in his career, you know. And you kind of wonder, was it because he came from Canada or whatever the case may be? And I'm not trying to put that bag on him. Hey, appreciate it. Not trying to put that bag on him, but if y'all understand the NBA, in which most of y'all do, I'll pretty much have some of the smartest subs, period. Um, y'all know that Adam Silver somewhere is like, ugh. But at the end of the day, they just couldn't afford to interfere with the finals like they did in 2016, and where basically they pretty much stole the Warriors' momentum and took the air out of them and pretty much awarded LeBron James the finals so he could try to get in that GOAT discussion, which it still didn't help him. And by the way, shout out to MJ, man. Shout out to Michael Jordan. They said Michael Jordan is gonna get paid $40 million a year, or should I say a season, to be to commentate on the NBA on NBC. Also, from what I heard, he's gonna be joined by Vince Carter. Man, two of the most prolific and greatest dunkers we ever seen. Now, keep in mind, I saw that dunk contest Vince Carter participated in Oakland, many moons ago. I saw it. Or as Craig Robinson, shout out to Craig Robinson from the Chi-Town. I synced it, from Pineapple Express. I synced it. I went there, I went there. So that's gonna be crazy. And TNT just had their last version of Inside the NBA. I'm gonna go home and watch it later on and give my final analysis of it. Basically, uh, moving over to, well, they're gonna lease it. TNT slash TBS slash Warner Brother Discovery. From what I heard, they're gonna sublease it to ABC. That's why they was able to keep, Charles Barkley, the group together. Now, the part that I'm worried about, are they going to let those guys be themselves? Are they going to let Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal talk the way they want to talk? Now, I don't know whether they're moving the studio to LA or whether it'll be in New York, but they're not going to be in Atlanta anymore. So, but yeah, man, shout out to Michael Jordan. Y'all know what this means, right? I think that's why they brought him, because the mystique of MJ. I saw MJ when he first played. I saw all that stuff. I saw the last shot when it first happened. So I grew up watching MJ. I saw it. A lot of people are looking at highlights, but I saw Michael Jordan when he actually played. He is one of the best that ever did it. It's debatable if he just single-handedly the GOAT. That's very debatable. But he is one of the best that ever did it. He's in that top 5, top 3, top 2 conversation along with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem don't get enough credit. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, Jordan sales, any Jordan that come out from this point on, especially while the NBA season is going on, Jordans are about to go up, and Jordans are about to become popular again. And what better way to advertise your next Jordan shoe than to be an analyst, on NBC? And then keep in mind that Nike makes the NBA's jerseys. So, with that being said, yeah, it's going to be a win-win situation for both Nike and Michael Jordan and Jordan Brand. Yeah, boss. Des Michael Jordan have his own aura. It's like what Charlie Murphy said. Remember what Charlie Murphy said on Dave Chappelle about Rick James, his aura. Like Michael Jordan got his own aura. Like you see it. It's like when he walk in a room, you just see something come in with him, and then when he leaves, you see something leave with him. And no, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. He really has his own aura about him. So, like I said before, we're all curious. We are all curious. And I'm telling you right now, when they make their debut on NBC, I'm telling you the ratings are going to be through the roof. The ratings are going to be through the roof. Now, keep in mind, during this season, the Gammas are coming out. The 11 Gammas. This could be the reason why they pushed the shattered backboards back too. They pushed the shattered backboards back from July to like the end of August. And you guys know at the beginning of September, I think they start reporting to like, camp and everything. They start to do the preseason and everything. So, I don't know when exactly the NBA is going to start on NBC, but like I said, I will be tapping in. Now, let's talk about the finals. Like I said, who do I like in the finals? Your boy Tail don't really like to pick a winner, but man, I thought Minnesota and OKC would be a little more competitive. And the surprise of the playoff has been Indiana. Now, the question is, can they do it 4 more times? Can they do it 4 more times and beat this upstart, this stifling, defensive-minded Oklahoma City Thunder? It's not about OKC, winning it or with the Pacers. The Pacers, their thing is, can they beat them 4 times? Can you beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team 4 times to win a championship? Because Denver took them to the limits, and you thought that they would be a little lackadaisical. You thought they would be slacking a little bit. Nah, that rest didn't hurt them one bit. They got in the groove instantly. They got in the groove instantly when they played the T-Wolves. It was like they didn't miss a beat. I heard Damien they was gonna use the old school music. Oh, by John Test. He composed the NBA theme. So shout out to John Test. He used to be knocking down Oprah back in the day too. I don't know which version of Oprah he used to be knocking down, whether it was big Oprah or, smaller Oprah. I don't know. Was he knocking down 250 plus pound Oprah or the Oprah that got in between 200 pounds when, she'd lose that weight, but her weight would go up and down. So, in the 80s and the early 90s. Andre Miller, hey, I'm so glad you brought Andre Miller up, boss. Andre Miller was a hell of a player. I mean, he one of them dudes, the era that he played in, there were so many good players. He just one of them dudes you just didn't really talk about a lot, but he was a very solid player. He wasn't the most fancy player, but he was a very great player, very serviceable, very reliable. He just wasn't them dudes that, got a lot of publicity because in the era that he played in, but he was a great player, he was a hell of a player. I don't know what Oprah is now, but Oprah used to be pretty damn big back in the Color Purple days. She might be a vegan now, Oprah Winfrey started off as a news anchor, and then 40 years later and $2 billion later, You know, she ain't even Oprah Winfrey no more. She just Oprah. You know her by one name. Yeah, Oprah dipped in the snow, you know. And this was while from what I was told, this while she was with Stedman. So, but what can Stedman do, man? You know, what can Stedman do? He ain't nothing but a red carpet guy, you know. But like I said before, I'm looking forward to this series. I think it's gonna be a good series for however long it lasts. You could see a very competitive series, and you know, it's some people. You know, shout out to my guy, Goodfellas Sports TV. He's picking Indiana to win it. Like I said, if I was going to pick a winner, I don't really like doing predictions, but I'm probably leaning towards OKC to get it done in, 5 or 6 games. I don't think they're going to be able to sweep. I'd be surprised. It's very rare that you see sweeps. You know, it's just very rare. You may see a sweep in the NBA like maybe once every 5 or 6 seasons. You know, but I'll tell you this much: the NBA do not like short series. The NBA like for these series to go at least 6 games. They do not like sweeps, and they do not like five. You know what I'm saying? They don't like 5-game series where you do it in 5. They want as much sponsorship money as they can. If it was up to the NBA, they would find a way to make sure every finals goes at least 7. Both of these teams play good defense, and both of these teams they can put up points when they can put up points. I'm looking at the matchup. I wonder if they're gonna put. I wonder who's gonna guard. Halliburton. I wonder if SGA gonna spend some time trying to guard. Halliburton. And then who they're going to put on Siakam. I mean, will Chet Holmgren spend a whole bunch of time guarding Siakam? And Siakam has that playoff, has that finals experience. So, he's been there before. Listen, I'm not finna say you out of your mind. There is a lot of people picking Indiana to get this done. They believe that they can pull this off. So I'm not finna tell you, oh man, you out of your mind. You out of your mind. I don't have no horse in the race. I just want to see some good basketball. And I think we're going to see some good basketball. I think we're going to see a good mixture of defense and offense. I think it's going to be a decent series. Yeah, Rick Carlisle has been there before. Keep in mind, Rick Carlisle blew through. They blew through a Miami Heat team that they didn't think they had no chance against. But then when you looked at it, they had all that. That Dallas Mavericks team was pretty stacked. I mean, they had quite a few Hall of Famers on there and borderline Hall of Famers. So I mean, come on, man. I mean, Jason Kidd, man, straight out of the town, man. Jason Kidd from Oakland, even though Jason Kidd lived in the hills, though. He lived up in the hills, but he's still from the town, though. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is just real talk. That Detroit Pistons team that Larry Brown coached, that won the finals, they was going to win regardless. And I hated what they did to Rick Carlisle. That they were going to win. They were going to win the finals regardless. That Detroit Pistons team was just that good that particular year. They were going to win it all no matter what. And I really felt that they took they took Rick Carlisle's championship from him, but he ended up getting the ring anyway, in Dallas. But yeah, I hated how they did him. I didn't like Larry Brown. I thought Larry Brown was a jerk. I always thought Larry Brown was a jerk. I never liked the guy. I thought he was a snake. I thought he was two-faced. But he get credit for that championship. But I'm telling y'all, that Detroit Pistons team would have won with Rick Carlisle or with Larry Brown. It wouldn't have mattered. That's how good, and I stand on that. No, they would have won that. They were gonna win regardless. Because that's how good they were. And at the end of the day, I know Chauncey Billups was the finals MVP. That was very debatable about who the final. Me, myself, like I told my boy CJ, he from Detroit, I thought Tayshaun Prince should have been the finals MVP because, at the end of the day, he just bothered Kobe, and every point that Kobe scored was just meaningless because that Pistons team was so dominant. I mean, they smashed the Lakers. And if it wasn't for Kobe Bryant hitting that shot, they would have got swept. No. SGA could be one of the faces. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they need a definitive face of the NBA. They need faces. That's the difference between the NBA and the NFL. They don't have just one particular guy. They have people where one guy could be, Patrick Mahomes, or the next guy could be Josh Allen, or it could be Lamar Jackson. It could be somebody like that. It could be Jalen Hurts. It could be CJ Stroud. It could be somebody like that. So I just don't think SGA, how can I say this? And it's not because we can't say it's because it's not because he's black. It's not because of that. I would sound like a nut. I just think, where am I going with this? It's the same thing as Tim Duncan. And I'm very high on Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan should always be at least in the top 10, top 5 discussion of whoever, of the best that ever played this game. But, the problem is with Tim Duncan, he didn't have much of a personality. And I see the same thing with SGA. They want you to have a little bit of personality. The thing is with Ant-Man got a personality, but the problem is with Ant-Man is going to have to fix his situations outside of basketball. Definitely his baby mama, he going to have to figure out what to do with her. He is probably going to get to the point he's just going to have to put a restraining order. So, no, I just don't think SGA could be the lone face of the NBA. I think you need to have guys instead of just one particular guy. If you want to say the Joker, fine, have no problem with it. Joker is a phenomenal basketball player. You want to say Giannis, have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, the NBA particularly wants American-born players. Why you think so much is riding on Cooper Flag? Now the question is, with Cooper Flag, is he going to be Larry Bird or is he going to be Adam Morrison? That's the question. That's the concerning issue with Cooper Flag. He could play, but the question is, can he play in the NBA? Well, that's what I'm saying, boss. His style, he fundamentally sound, but he don't got a personality. Have you ever seen him do interviews? Let me tell you something about the NBA. They could try to pretend they didn't like dudes like Allen Iverson. They loved Allen Iverson. He was what the league needed. They loved Allen Iverson. And SGA just got that same type of Tim Duncan personality. He just brings his lunch pail, he goes to work, punches in, punches out. He don't have much of a personality. And they want you to have somewhat of a personality. Patrick Mahomes has a personality. We know Lamar Jackson has a personality. Same thing with Josh Allen. You know, and a few other guys. They want you to have like some swag. Do they want you to be ghetto? Not exactly, but they want you to have some swag to you. They want you to have a coolness to you. And see, the thing about Larry Bird had a coolness to him. They haven't been able to find a Larry Bird since Larry Bird. The thing is with Dirk, as phenomenal of a player Dirk was, once again, he wasn't American. If Dirk was American, he would get talked about more, and he would be more in that GOAT conversation than what he is. And that's the problem. Because Dirk was exciting to watch play. Dirk could play. He could ball, but unfortunately, and Dirk had a personality. But SGA, he doesn't give you anything. Well, we ain't gonna get that. I think the league wanted that matchup. Yeah, that I keep telling you that Piston team kind of was like, I guess you could say they was the NBA version of, what was that? Was it the 2001 Baltimore Ravens? Was it 2001 or 2002 or 2000? It was that Baltimore Ravens team, you know, that blew through the New York Giants in the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis and Shannon Sharpe. And you know I was at that game in Oakland, the championship game where Shannon Sharpe caught that fluke ball. I was at that game. Never got over that neither. I was at that game, that championship game where Shannon Sharpe caught that fluke pass and it and it turned into a touchdown, and Baltimore never looked back. Okay, 2000. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. That Pistons team, they was the NBA version of the Baltimore Ravens. I haven't saw anything like that since. And you're right. They won a championship without what you would call a prolific scorer. There was not one dude on that team that was like in the top 15 in scoring. I don't think one dude on that particular team was averaging more than 21 points a game. Who was the look on the computer and see how many points per game that team averaged, and I don't think they had one player that averaged more than 21 points. 22 at best. Yeah, that Detroit Pistons team was special. They were special. And like I said, they would have won regardless. They was going to win the finals regardless. And I know some people might not agree with me because they for some reason people had this sympathy for Larry Brown because Larry Brown had never, until he coached that Pistons team, had never got to the finals and won. And basically the league handed him it was impossible for him to blow it. I think anybody who coached that team that particular year would have won a championship damn near, but Rick Carlisle would have won with that team. And he unfairly got fired. He was going to win, and they wasn't patient with him. Thank you. Damn, they didn't have nobody that was averaging 20 points a game. Wow. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, that's funny about Rip Hamilton. I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story, and then I'm gonna bounce. But he wore Jordans, and it was kind of funny when Michael Jordan played for the Wizards. Now, before they traded him to Detroit, Michael Jordan didn't care for Richard Hamilton too much. And Richard Hamilton allegedly, according to him, he said he had asked Michael Jordan to hook him up with some Jordans. And Michael Jordan told him he wasn't good enough to wear his shoes. And for some reason, I believe Michael Jordan said that to him. I believe Michael Jordan actually said that to him. He said you wasn't good. He said you ain't good enough to wear my shoe. Can you imagine being Rip Hamilton and Jordan, arguably one of the greatest players that ever played the game, or arguably the greatest player, said, "Man, you ain't good enough to wear my shoes." Richard Hamilton probably was somewhere. He probably his heart sank. But I mean, what can you do as MJ? Yeah, that do sound like Michael Jordan. That do sound. I believe it. I believe it. I, I truly believe it. You're not good enough to wear Jordans. And he probably said it. And the thing is, Jordan probably said it in a fucked up way too, to where he let him know he wasn't good. Jordan probably said something. But that's the same Michael Jordan that picked Kwame Brown #1. So, but all right, you guys, appreciate y'all being here. Let me get up out of here. I'm out.